Welcome to the Success Partner Podcast. I'm Daya Naef, your host and founder of The Success Partner. On this show, we dive into the stories of attorneys, business professionals, and entrepreneurs who have navigated the ups and downs of building successful careers and businesses. From the strategies they've implemented to the challenges they've overcome, we're here to uncover the insights that can help you on your own journey to success. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. So welcome back, everybody, to the Success Partner Podcast. I am your host, Daya Naef, and we have today with us Elizabeth Long, who is a Canadian immigration attorney. So it's very exciting to have her here today. So Elizabeth, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I am in Canada. At our firm, we have around 20 people at our firm, 5 lawyers, and all we do is immigration law in Canada.
That's exciting. How did you get into that?
It's interesting. When I was in high school, I just graduated high school. I was in church, and I had a lady in church turn around and say, "Hey, I got a job for you." I'm like, "Okay, great. I'm looking for a summer job." And it turned out it was a nonprofit organization helping immigrants and refugees in Canada. And after I started working there, I really found that it was a place in law, and I had always just watched lawyers on TV, and I thought it was really cool. I loved the way they dressed and things like that. But then after I started working in this area, I just really loved it, and I felt home when I was working there because my family also immigrated to Canada, and I could really relate to what the clients were feeling. And so then I went to law school and eventually found myself doing this area.
Oh, that's wonderful. So definitely a passion and a personal story behind it.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and you're running is you're one of the partners in your firm? You're one of your.
Yes. Yes, we founded the firm uh 17 years ago.
Yeah.
It was me and another partner. And At the time, I had been working in corporate immigration law, and my partner at the firm, he came from a litigation, from the immigration litigation background. And when we talked about starting a firm, there was a couple of reasons why we really gravitated towards doing it together. One is we came from different areas in immigration law, and in Canada, the immigration law fields are very separate. There are lawyers that work with companies and look at the economic streams, and then there are workers that work with refugees and the litigation. But there's a real need in Canada to have lawyers who can understand both sides. For
Mhm.
example, if someone is in Canada and is undocumented, but they are a skilled worker, how do we help them, um, apply for permanent residence through the economic streams? Or if someone is in Canada, they're working and they have a work permit, but all of a sudden they have a criminal record, how do we help them? And so it's important for us to provide the whole gamut of immigration solutions to them. And that's one of the reasons that we started the firm together.
Oh, that's fascinating. That's awesome. And coming from the US, immigration is a very hot topic, especially right now with the new administration coming in. What's it like going on up there?
In Canada, it's also a hotbed of issues in Canada as well. We have a government right now that is really in trouble, politically speaking. Their numbers are way down, and it's expected that they're going to lose in the next election. And a lot of the woes of the economy is being, blamed on the leadership.
Mhm.
But a lot of it, the leadership, the politicians are trying to scapegoat on foreign workers and international students. Um, just to give you an idea, in during the pandemic, in Canada, we had a real need for workers. And for the next, I would say 3 years or 4 years, the government really encouraged workers to come to Canada and international students to come to Canada. And our economy was doing really well. And, the government, the Liberal government who's in power right now, always had a policy where they said we need to attract young, educated uh, people to come to Canada. Our population is declining, and we really need them to come and be taxpayers. And we have a government healthcare system that we won't be able to afford if we don't have more taxpayers. So that was the attitude. And so right now, we have approximately 2.3 million international students and workers. And for a population of only 40 million, that's a lot of people in
Yes.
Canada. Uh, but now, as the economy is sort of shifting downwards, and the unemployment rates have risen a little bit, and the government knows that they're in trouble politically, they've made a complete 180 on their attitude. And they have really started to shut down the permanent residence streams. So it's 1 out of 10 workers. And we're talking about people who have work permits. They're not undocumented. They have work permits. They have jobs with governments. Are probably 1/10 can actually obtain permanent residence. And they're not only that, they're also shutting down a lot of programs that allow them to extend their work permits.
Hmm.
So it's very interesting days for us as lawyers. And you know, in for lawyers, we'll have more work. It's
Right.
more difficult. We'll have more work. But certainly as people who work in the system, it's getting to be tough to have to, break the news to a lot of people as to the fact that they may not be able to stay in a country where they have worked for years. Yeah.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. I talked to a lot of people during the tech layoffs that happened, and a lot of people had to go back to their home countries after many years of living in the U.S., even owning houses and starting families
Yeah.
here, because the visa wasn't, they couldn't get another job quickly enough. Even though people were getting jobs 3 to 4 months out, the people who did not, who were not U.S. citizens, weren't favored. And then I can't imagine the um, economic cultural shock of having lived in like Silicon Valley for 8 or 9 years and then going back to your home country.
Yes. And in Canada, in the last 23 years, we've had 23 immigration ministers.
Oh,
Yes. And in Canada, our immigration laws, they mostly don't go through Parliament. They're mostly decided by immigration ministers and their advisors. And most of the time, there's very little consultation with stakeholders. And so the issue with Canadian immigration law is that things move way too fast. I know in the US, immigration changes can be because you have to go through the houses, but in Canada it can be uh, the opposite, and it's hard sometimes to advise our clients uh, as to what they need to do for immigration. You have to prepare your life for it when all of a sudden it could change on a dime.
wow. Yeah. Well, like you said, it is good for your practice, maybe not so good for your clients. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
So, how do people, well, first of all, so having your own firm, what was it like to make a decision to have a firm versus working for someone else?
I think it depends on the personalities of people. If you're an entrepreneur, once you start making decisions on your own, and it's like owning and renting, almost. When you have your own business, you own your business. That's your baby. And I think at this point, I don't think I would be able to be a good employee. I think that motivation for actually being able to make decisions on your firm and your business. Um, I don't think I could get that feeling anymore if I'm an employee anymore.
Yeah, makes sense. What about when you first started bringing other attorneys on as employees? What did that feel like?
Scary. No, because not only are you responsible for your own income, now you're responsible for other people's income. And I think the first assistant that we had hired, and she was really just working minimum wage, but at one point for a couple of months, we were paying her more than, we were paying ourselves. But I think, as time goes by, it's hiring the other people, it becomes so important to your ability to not lose those opportunity costs that you would be doing those tasks that you can delegate to other people.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to empower people to come up into their own in the workforce so that you can also ascend and do what's your favorite part of the practice?
My favorite part is educating others. We do a lot of webinars for different organizations and for universities and colleges, international students and workers. We do some media as well. Uh, I'm starting to do some social media videos as well, and I just love it. I think when I was a little girl, all I wanted to do was be a star. So this is my way of scratching that itch.
I love it. You're going to be an influencer.
Influencer, yeah.
I love that. Well, in
You're so
addition,
good.
yeah. So in addition to being an influencer and a rock star on social media, like what else is in the future for you?
So I'm in the midst of trying to write a book
Oh,
on immigration law in Canada, and just in talks with some publishers to talk about that. I think we don't have enough. I don't know of any books on immigration law that is from the viewpoint of an immigration lawyer who actually is in the know and trying to educate and tell the Canadian public about the ins and outs of what's actually happening in the immigration law system. So that's my um, goal for the next year.
oh, I love it. Coming soon in 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be like a practical application for,
Not practical.
oh,
It's
okay.
political commentary. It's
Oh,
kind of like just telling people, here's what here's what the immigration system is about. And here it is. Here are some stories about what people have to go through in the system.
mhm.
And yeah, this is from the perspective of an immigration lawyer who's worked here for 20 years. And I think I'm still thinking about it, but I think I'm probably going to start off with talking about the fact that we have had 23 ministers in 23 years. And how do you run, like, if you had to run a corporation with 23 different CEOs in 23 years, each having virtually no background in doing this work, how would that work? And how is this working in Canada right now?
Yeah. Yeah. We would definitely, as like a business advisor, I'd look at that and go, wait, what? You know, what? Yeah. Who thought this was a good idea? And we're seeing, you're seeing the repercussions of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, that sounds really great and a little bit scandalous.
I don't mind a little scandal. Hey. Yeah, I mean, it's the one good thing about running your own firm is I can, as long as I'm able to take responsibility for what I'm saying, I don't need to, and my partner as well at the firm, we are of the same political leanings, and we started a firm together with the same kind of values, in that, we both know we have to run a business, and but the there are many ways to earn money in law, and the reason why we decided to do this is not to just earn money. The reason why we decided to do this is because we felt that we had a responsibility. Both of us are children of immigrants, and we felt that, um, because we had the ability to understand what the system is about, we had the ability to help others in this very complicated system that affects people and their families to the core, that it was our responsibility to do so. And I think that responsibility doesn't just translate to our client files, but it translates politically, to how we should influence our politicians, our media, the public, and about what should happen in our country as well.
Yeah, makes sense. That's amazing. It's like I feel the passion there, and you have all that direct why and impact. So what do you do for fun? What's going on when you're not doing this very passionate work?
Well, what's really interesting is we do all this work about logical thinking and talking, and what I really love to do is exercise the other part of my brain, and I love to do interior decorating. I did a interior decorating certificate, um just spare time. And uh Otto, my partner at the firm, would say, "Hey, what'd you do on the weekend?" I said, "I colored for 7 hours because of homework." He would laugh at me. He was like, "What are you doing?" And then one day he sent me this link, and apparently it is a form of therapy for adults to color. So I
Yes.
was like, "See, you see what I'm talking about? It's actually relaxing to be able to do this creative and exercise that other part of your brain."
Oh, that's wonderful. Is it like a color theory class or
Yes,
yes.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah, I've taken that as well. So definitely as well like to use
Yeah.
my right brain and have it trained in different ways so that you can see differently.
Yes, yes, and I find it actually quite relaxing to be able to, create things instead of just argue and fight about things as well. Yeah.
Yeah, create things from scratch instead of working in
Mhm,
some constraints that you have. Yeah, because I mean, I
mhm.
find law can be very creative as well, but it's definitely working within constraints.
Yes, yes, that's right, yeah.
Wonderful. So, how do our listeners find you if they want to follow up and learn more about you or your practice?
Oh, well, they can find us on our website at lmlawgroup.com. And we're happy to help. We have had a lot of Americans come to us around the election time,
Mhm.
and we still have a lot of programs that are available for Americans to come to Canada. And a lot of companies also come to Canada if they can't get their H-1B visas renewed, for example, because they don't win the lottery. They can transfer their clients to come to Canada. So yeah, so we do still have a lot of programs, and I really enjoy working with my American colleagues as well, and my colleagues from around the world.
Wonderful. Well, great. And I'll put all that in the show notes. So, thank you everybody for listening again to this episode of the Success Partner Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Daya Naef, and we have today Elizabeth Long. And stay tuned for some additional guests coming up. Thank you for joining us on the Success Partner Podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation and found some valuable takeaways to apply to your own business journey. Remember, this show is brought to you by The Success Partner, where we help small law firms and business owners achieve unparalleled success through strategic guidance, operational excellence, and effective marketing. If you're ready to take your business to the next level, visit thesuccesspartner.net to learn more. Until next time, keep striving for success, and I will see you in the next episode.